You have heard the instruction time and time again to focus your attention, to discipline your outer consciousness, to have an awareness of Christ's discrimination flowing through you each day. But have you truly appreciated how much this requirement was held in the balance of whether or not you would make your ascension at the close of this lifetime, or if the requirement of the law would necessitate you re-embodying to fulfill the attainment required to hold fast to the consciousness required for you to elevate into your eternal garment of light. There are those, upon hearing over and over the same teaching and instruction, begin to allow that instruction to fade away into the recesses of the great abyss of their own human creation, thinking surely they know this, for they have heard it. It has been revealed to them through many examples. So let me hear of something new. But have you realized, blessed ones, that until you are able to truly grasp and internalize the instruction and the teaching of the law, that it will not pass you by, but will remain as an ever-fixed point of reality in your world, magnetizing initiations, circumstances of life, so that you will learn how to overcome, how to work with, how to manifest a particular law. There are those that expect that the teachings of the Ascended Masters should be most confounding, requiring the greatest intellects of the time to part those lines of teaching and instruction, so that the gem at the core of its meaning may be revealed. But in this cycle, we have adopted a new way of teaching. We do not code or hide the meaning in secrecy. We do not shelter it away in some secret enclave, but we present it for the world to know. And even those who have the intellect of the least may grasp and understand the pure teaching of the law of life and what is required. And those who have an overactive intellect that has been trained to grasp all of the facts, the figures, and the minutiae of human creation may find it even more challenging to realize the truth of the law. For how could God and the ascended masters be so easy to understand? How can the mechanism of my own overcoming be as easy as stated by the ascended masters? How could the teaching be so simple and yet so confounding that I, in my great intellect, cannot grasp it? As you ponder these varied circumstances of life, which all, by the way, have gone through, for yes, as wise as you may perceive yourself to be in this incarnation, you have likewise had those embodiments where there was the simplicity of life, the greatest of what you were capable of grasping. So what is this teaching? What is the law of life that has come forth in the mysteries passed down through the ages, held and revealed only to those initiates that have readied themselves? The teaching, blessed hearts, is founded upon the truth of the law of your own God presence. This truth is not subjective, to be skewed or altered by the human ego, but it is absolute. It is precise. That truth allows your heart to sing. It allows you to have the fullness of the inner strength that no matter what is presented to you in the outer circumstances of your life, you know that God is well and reigns supreme within your life. You have the full faith that all that you truly need will be supplied for you, that every breath that you require to fill the lungs and nourish the physical body with the elements that will sustain life in this outer body are present, that you will have the sustenance of the charged light in the food that you are to ingest, that will be wholesome, pure, revitalizing, and have the elements to build the very temple of the densest of the bodies that you will wear. And each of the respective vehicles of consciousness will, in their dimension and domain, be nourished by the hand of God. You will know that at every turn the circumstances that you find yourself will be by the hand of your God presence. For your presence has desired you to fulfill certain decrees that your own presence has uttered. In some embodiments, the demand by your God presence may be greater, for there is much to accomplish in that embodiment. And so from the very first breath of that incarnation, you find that you are accelerated by the determination of the will that burns upon the altar of your heart. And you do not stop through that entirety of incarnation until the presence has sent forth the signal that you have been faithful and it is time to rest and begin again. Blessed hearts, faith is the presence of God in your life. For absence the presence of God, there is no faith. Hope is the faith grounded upon the knowledge of the presence of God, that where there is opportunity, you may engage in the fullness of what your presence desires. You have heard from time to time that it is the presence desire for you to ascend. And as you hold the focus of your attention upon the ascension of the vehicles of consciousness you wear into the oneness with your own God presence, you are magnetized to every opportunity that will make it so. Holding your attention upon the ascension allows you to put everything in your present life in perspective. The priorities of every day take on a new excitement and, yes, importance. For you cannot shun certain areas in your life when you understand their importance to your overcoming certain areas of life that heretofore have not risen to the level of the Christ virtue, of the God quality, and they have been known in your own outer consciousness, for you have recognized those shortcomings and have desired to accelerate into your outer vehicles more of a way of Christhood, more of the qualities that stand in the perfection and purity of God, more that allows you to be a pillar for your own God presence in this world of form. recognizing this, even in your outermost dense mental body, allows you to have the pressure of the flame that burns upon the altar of the heart, recognizing and revealing to that outer mind the difference between what is Christ virtue and not, what is God quality and not, what is the vibration that allows the closeness of not only your own God presence, but the attending angels to your life stream. For these outer vehicles are frail when they stand alone in this physical octave. But when the light of God is coursing through them, there is an inner strength and a wholeness that is present. And you know yourself to be more than this outer flesh and bone, more than the human consciousness that continually regurgitates unreality. You know the flame of God burns brightly in your life. And at the first blush of the change and lowering of your own vibration, where you are no longer in that close proximity of the light of God, you recognize it. You understand it. You know where the departure from that vibration occurred. And you are then able to regalvanize your attention upon the heart of God. Allow for the connection of the heart to fill your consciousness, to be the hands, the feet, the vision of your life. This is as simple and as gloriously loving as we, the Ascended Masters, can convey the teaching to you. Everything else builds upon that fundamental understanding of the law of your God presence. I, Serapis Bey, have taken this opportunity to give you this instruction so that you will be reminded of the first step that is required for your victory in bringing forth the greater alchemies and science of the Emerald Matrix. For if you do not have this understanding of what is working in your own consciousness, you will not have the awareness of where to focus your attention of how to begin the galvanizing of the inner core strength, of the light of your God presence that allows you to hold the focus and attention upon the alchemy that you perform. You will not have the understanding of why purity of consciousness is most important. For you cannot take an impurity and expect that it is suddenly going to multiply in the physical octave or in any other octave without magnifying that impurity. And that brings me to a point that I wish to make regarding the human ego. For there are always those who will receive our teaching and instruction in its highest and purest form, and think that surely they can improve upon what the masters have taught. There will be those that have, remaining within their own garments, more and more of the human creation that does not allow for certain of the instructions to resonate. So they, in their outer human ego, will distort and in oft times tear down the very instruction so that they might have it resonate at a level that they are able to connect with. Now, surely there are those wise enough to see that there is no benefit to that one to have such a teaching, such a decree of the word, resonating at the human creation level. For if it was so, why would not everyone's mental body human creation be the rule and the law of the land? What would be the need to have the higher engrams of light codified in teaching and instruction that would pass to your conscious awareness the truth of the law, the perfection of the law, the vibration of the consciousness of the realms of perfection in the ascended octaves? Guard well, thinking that out of the human creation of the ego of the mind, you can somehow improve upon what has been so carefully constructed for you in the cosmic councils of light. I speak of this because there are those that think surely they can write a decree that all should be able to appreciate. There are those that think they can take the decrees given to these messengers and skew them with the overlay of their own human consciousness, and think surely they should be of a benefit to all. I caution you to guard well the expansion of your own human ego, for in like manner there is always a karma that is borne up by the proflication of such unreality to others outside of your own consciousness. It is one thing to give your prayers and decrees before the altar that you have fashioned in your own words, but it is wholly another to influence others with the rehearsal of your own human creation. The first discipline of the law, when you are presented to the Ascension temple, is to know that all vestige of the human creation must go into the flame and be no more. The bending of the knee before the perfection of the mighty I Am Presence is first and foremost the requirement of the law. And our teaching and instruction will always convey this alignment of your consciousness. Understanding how to have the light of your own God presence so firmly fixed in the outer vehicles as the expression of the light of God in all the varied forms that God manifests, is a glory to behold, and is always recognized by those who stand in the light, who know the light, and have become the light of God. You have been cautioned. Mark well any vestige of the human ego that would have designs on maintaining control and an outer presence of that human ego in charting the course of your life. For many, it is much more easily accepted than the light and the consciousness of their own God presence. For they have lived with the human ego for a very long time as the rule of their outer existence. Those who are sincere students of the path to the ascension and the light are in the process of changing that alliance, allowing the vehicle of the mental body to be that passive receptivity to the Christ mind, to cognize and fashion, flashing the thoughts of the perfection from the mind of God into the outer vehicles to respond as the virtues of the Christ, carrying upon each expression the quality that is inherent within the mighty I Am presence. And yes, blessed hearts, the causal body of your own attainments of victory. I have spoken to you this day in the awareness that there are those among you new to our voice, our instruction, our vehicle of consciousness through the anointed representatives. At the level of your own heart flame, you will experience an upliftment of joy, perhaps of peace, a sense of comfort that allows you to have a greater appreciation for looking more closely at these teachings and preparing your consciousness to receive more. The light of God never fails. You know this to be so when you have applied that mantra to your day-to-day life, letting go and letting God. Likewise, you know to be so when you have struggled and struggled, and finally remember to go to your altar and lay your burden upon the altar for your God presence, for the holy angels, for the ascended and cosmic beings to assist you with. And suddenly, that burden dissolves away, and you are left with an inner strength and knowledge of what is the next step to take. That is not by accident, blessed hearts. It is by the hand of God, your own God presence, by the ascended and cosmic beings answering your call, by the holy angels opening doors so that you might step through and experience victory. It is because you have let down all of the struggle in the outer form of your life and allowed your consciousness to go within and hold the point of awareness that is the light of God, following that point into the opening of the vastness of consciousness of your own God presence. And suddenly, there is no longer burden. There is no longer strife. There is only the hand of God answering the call. I, Serapis Bey, am known as a great disciplinarian because I hold to the patterns of perfection of God reality for you and for all who are working toward the victory of the Ascension. I know well the tricks that the outer mind will try to play upon your awareness. And from time to time, we, the Ascended Masters, will caution you in those areas. That I have done this day in many areas that even the most sincere student who has been on the path toward their ascension for a long time have neglected or forgotten. Be sealed in the white light of perfection that streams forth from the electronic body of your mighty I Am Presence. As the fingers of light go out into all areas of life and clear the pathway for your victory, I await your coming to the Ascension Temple. For those who are already attending my retreat while they sleep at night, you know that what I speak of is absolute. For you have learned much in the short duration of the outer vestige of my temple that will lead ultimately to the ascension current for your life stream. Be sealed in the full faith and hope for your victory as you know God in your life.